All right, Ben. Appreciate you hanging in there with me, brother. And like I said, man, I'm ready to receive 10 of these at one time, man. Because like I told you, at the moment, or unless somehow I'm able to handle the workload, I am only going to take in this work. Okay, repair work. That's what I want to be able to do. Now, of course, to be able to survive just off that, I'll need you to be sending me a lot of these. But this is my promise to you, because this is how important this is to me. Whenever these come in from this point forward, doesn't matter what I'm doing, okay? Now, of course, if I got something on the bench, I'm doing some soldering or whatever, you know, I may work on that for a few hours, but basically what I'm saying, I have a whole table, which is going to be this table right here, okay, with the Hawaiian flowers. That's why I have all my Texas Star parts right here, because I'm going to put them in bins over there. I'm going to devote this table right here just for this work right here on getting these amplifiers modified for you. I've actually already started making the chokes. So like this right here is enough chokes to handle about 6 to 8 power wire upgrades. Ooh, got my power wire in, but this ain't nothing, man. What I want to get to once I get to doing these is I'm going to order 100-foot rolls of blue, red, and black. And another thing I want to do too, which we'll talk about later on, is you can offer your customers inline fuse holders that will be, you know, they can connect to their battery, etc., etc., etc. It'll just the customers won't have to go to one extra place to get them, because, you know, we're taking the fuses off of these, which is perfectly fine, as long as if it's going in a mobile, that they have a fuse at their battery post, okay? And I want to at least have those inline fuse holders on decks, and just so people can purchase them. Alright, man, so I'm ready to rock and roll with this, man. Heck, I hope maybe one day we'll get crazy enough with this where you sending me 20 of them at a time. Or sending me 10, you know, twice a week or something. You know, hey, man, I want this thing to grow, man, till you're basically one of the biggest Texas Star, brand new Texas Star modified dealers, meaning that you sell brand new Texas Stars that are modified that no one else is offering. And then later on, when I get a little bit more deeper into it, and I get to play around with trying to retrofit some of the Motorola transistors, you can offer a higher cost Texas Star with more high cost transistors in it. It'll just be another option for someone to purchase. And of course, you won't make more profit off that particular amplifier, really. It'll just give the users another option, because you may have some people that don't want to buy these because in their minds these transistors aren't good enough for them. Okay, well, once you put a high name brand transistor in them, now you're going to be able to hit those guys that have it in their head that they want more higher name brand transistors. You know, even though these are just fine as long as people don't abuse the heck out of them, but maybe they want transistors they can abuse a little more. So we'll get into all that later. But anyway, I want to do a pre-video real quick and show you, man. Here we go again. Okay. And before I tell this is another thing. I can tell that you went and got these converted over. Dude, send these straight to me from the factory, man. Okay. If you're not happy with $10 per conversion, I'll convert them for freaking free. I don't care. There's no sense in you having to take these to another person, get them converted, and then send them to me. Because the guy that's converting them is leaving holes back here, right here, that I'm going to be using for fan kits. Now, if they would have left the mono plugs right there, I could just use a fan kit straight wire to that, which is fine. I have plugs here, but I'm just saying he's taking them off and either throwing them away or keeping them. And most people will just leave that on so there's not a hole inside the cab right here for dust and stuff to get into, or bugs or whatever, spiders, whatever you know, I'm just saying. All the future ones, man, let me convert them, brother. $10 a conversion. And if that's too high for you, hey, I'll do it for free. I don't care. I know I did say $20 for a conversion. $10. $10 a conversion. If you ain't too happy with that, we'll just freaking do it for free. Just to, you know, it's all gravy, man. All right, here's what I want to point out. I don't know if you remember. Maybe one or two, I know at least one of those other Texas Stars you sent to me had some cold solder joints. Well, not cold solder joints. Stuff wasn't soldered down good. You don't really call that a cold joint, it just wasn't soldered good. I don't know if you remember me pointing that to you out in the video. Well, I haven't even looked at these very deep. Just gandering in here, I've already found two of these where parts are not soldered correctly, and one of them is very serious. This right here would have resulted in a failure on the input of this amplifier. Look at this. The input tuning capacitor. Look at that. It was not soldered. It was literally sticking to it with flux. I went down here with my finger and moved it like that right there. Can you believe that? They are, I guess they are getting in here and soldering these things too quick. And I'm gonna send the message over to my buddy at Texas Star and let him know that finding one of these like this, you know, is here and there. It's just, you know, it's just human error. But this is a little bit too much. Look at this, a whole nother one. Let me get it in view here, right here. A whole nother one. I looked down there and it was sitting down there like this, right there. Right this. They had dripped the solder there, but didn't wait for the solder actually to sink down and hit the hot bus. I ain't a big fan of these polyester or box caps anyway, but you know, they do the trick. They're filter caps. So what I'm going to have to start doing, Ben, is I'm going to have to start going through all of these with my tools and literally go through every part and just do a lift up on every part just to make sure everything is soldered good enough. Yeah, that's going to add probably about 15 minutes per. I can probably go in here about 10-15 minutes and just to make sure, you know, go through all the feedback circuits, make sure they're soldered good. Just make sure, because this right here is serious. This would have been shipped out brand new from the factory, and someone would have started running it and a little bit of bumping around to get this unconnected, and they would have had no tune on the input and had input reflect out the yin yang and would have caused some damage probably to their radio or something. But
all right, Ben. Sorry, I got my mask on, man, because I think I can turn this thing around like this right here. Sorry, I got my mask on, man, because I'm here doing some soldering. See how serious I am about this. I'm already pre-tinning for the power wire upgrades for the future amps that you'll be sending me. And I think I got like 3 or 4 more Texas Stars here I need to do power wire upgrades for, but I'm already getting ready, man. And let's just start things off. When I do a couple of more for you, and get my 100-foot rolls, man, I'm gonna go through them 100-foot rolls and get them all done like that right there. And I went ahead and wired up more chokes for the power wire upgrades. So, I've already got your cases all painted, man. Fan kit, about to start putting the fan kits together. Ain't that right, Boots? Yes, ma'am. But first, I'm gonna go eat, and I'll be back. Mr. Ben, the gatekeeper, we're gone. We'll be back.
All right, Mr. Ben, BRB Electronics. We got you all set up and done. Brand new Texas Star 667. New style with the DEI tops, but they are actually HG 08-4s. Everybody keep that in mind. The guy that owns the DEIs has now switched over to the HGs, innards, but we still got the DEI top representing the company or whatever. So anyway, and if you ask me, these MOSFETs kind of match up a little better to the HGs than the Toshibas. That's just my personal opinion. I see a little bit more output out of these than the Toshibas. I think maybe the Toshibas just didn't match up as well with the 520s. But anyway, man, went over here and just did all the basic upgrades. You got your fan kit, as you can see. And down here, you're going to have your high and low switch. And when the switch is in the middle position, that turns the fans off. Okay? But I would request at least leaving the fans in the low position, at least keep some air flowing through. Got your power wire upgrades all the way to the back of the transformer. Okay, on each section. Cleaned up a little bit of the flux in areas. Went ahead and just stiffened up on this trace right here to the back where the RF travels from here to the switch to the relay. That's just something I just like to do. And like I've already mentioned, there was a few times where there was a few joints that I had to fix on these amplifiers. And there was also a power switch on one of these amps that I had to fix also because it just was not hanging in. But I got that fixed for you, so that switch is working properly now. And then of course I went ahead and threw in some filter caps, 1,000 right here, 1,000 over here. I took these right here that was on the hot bus, these box caps, and just replaced them with the caps that they normally use on their older versions on the hot bus there. So, and then there's your new lead right there for the driver. Thickened up on that wire a little bit. Power wire upgrade with your Anderson 175 power poles. And here is the other portion that will be going to the customer with genuine Anderson. I call them fingers or elements. So, all right, man. Let you see the output of this one. I've got my dual meters now finally hooked up here. So we're looking at this slug. This meter right here is a 1,000-watt slug. Okay, and I have got that one reading in peak. And this one right here is the 1,000-watt slug in RMS. And of course that's your input reflect. Alright, I'll show it to you with the green button pressed in, which gives you a little bit extra attenuation. We are on 14.57 volts. And then that's your fans coming on high. The fans I use for this particular one are some pretty expensive fans, man. They're about $25 a fan. And they're so dang fast, I had to actually back them down on high. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't be hearing me talk right now probably. But those are the only fans I had available. Alright, so this is just on with a green button in, which you pretty much could call medium or medium high. Alright, 1000 watt slug. Oh yeah, that's almost 600 watts PEP. RMS, no, about 250 RMS. We'll go ahead and deflect that, put the amplifier on high. 1000 watt slug. Oh, there's 600 watts. RMS, no, a little bit over 300 bird. A little bit over 300 bird. Now if I hook this amplifier up on a better power supply, you would be seeing a little bit more on the peak end, a little bit more on the bird end. Of course I can hook up my bigger radio, but there really ain't no need to do all that. I just want to show you that the boxes are working properly. Input reflect, oh, works beautifully. Hardly no input reflect whatsoever. Alright man, didn't quite get 667 watts out of this one, just with the 4-watt radio, but they do vary from radio to radio. Let's see here, and if I increase the voltage up a bit, which I don't really like to do. Oh, there's your 600 and probably about 650 watts, which I don't recommend that. Let me turn the voltage back down. Oh well, I mean, voltage all the way up on this one's 15.2 volts. That's safe. But if I was you, I would rather run this thing about 14.5 if you can, somewhere around there. But I do know some people's alternator voltage are up a little higher than that. So there you go, man. There's that one. Here's your top lid. I went ahead and put a paint job, clear coat and everything on the lids like I always do. Really spiffens it up, man. So there's the first GK Modified. The other two are sitting right there, so let's go ahead and hook up one of them. Those are the 500s. So I will be back. Go ahead and get this top screwed on. Alright man, here's your second amplifier. A brand new Texas Star 500V. Got the power wire upgrade, full power wire upgrade all the way to the back of the transformer. Replace the factory chokes with these. You know, I've done tests with these on here and with them not. You don't see a huge amount of difference leaving the factory chokes and these in, but you do see a difference, and all that little difference adds up, especially when you get to the big amps like the 800s or whatever. But your goal is to try to keep as less heat as possible. The thicker the wire, the less heat is going to be building up in the wire. Any added heat just adds heat to everything else, man, especially when you get the top on this thing. So we got all the heat shrink on there. I like to use heat shrink with that. Make sure the wire doesn't split on you while you're soldering everything down. Went ahead and, you know, thickened up on the trace back here like I always do. That's just a given. That's just something I like to do. I don't see no difference in wattage when I do that. It's just something that makes me feel better. Just one of those things. And I think this is the amp I had the problem with the on and off switch. Yes, it is. Because you can see down here where I had to solder the tab up here. Basically, every single time you press this button in, it wouldn't come out. You'd have to sit there and press it like 10 times before it would finally come out. So I had to get in there and play around with it and learn a little bit about these new switches they're using, and was able to fix that bad boy. So now it works perfectly. Hate to know you have to do this with some newer amps sometimes, but you know, every amp ain't exactly perfect. So anyway, got the 500 watt slug in on this one. And by the way, you got the fan kit, high and low switch on down in here. Middle is off. On this one right here, I had to put two bigger grommets right here where the fuses were, because the way they had the cut was weird. They had it cut different on this one than the other two, so the hole was a little bit too big to use my normal size grommet that I like to use, so I had to go up in size for these two in the middle. That's why you'll see those are a little bigger than the other ones. So, but of course, there's where your fan plugs in right there. Okay, this PWR Wire Upgrade with the 175s. This one right here goes with the customer. And if a customer is watching this video, we have removed the fuses on this unit to help more power flow, less amperage restriction, etc. But if you're running this in a mobile, it is a 100% must for you to put a fuse at your battery. 100% must. And you want to use a big fuse that's not a tiny fuse. You want to use a big audio fuse that you buy from the audio the mobile audio department. New Concepts, KNUKONCEPTZ.com sells some great fuses, inline fuses. And an amp like this, you want to just go ahead and put you a 60 amp fuse on there to be safe. They normally put 230s or 235 amps on these boxes, which will equal 60 to 70 amps. Just put you a 60 amp fuse on there. If you ever pop it, you're driving it pretty decent, and you can go up to a 70 amp if you want, or you can throw a 70 amp on there. I wouldn't go too much higher than that for these particular boxes. Alright, so since this is the Texas Star 500, I've got my 500 watt slugging, because we're supposed to be able to get right there about 500 watts out of it on high with a 4 watt radio, which is what I'm driving these with. And we're still on 14, well, now we're on 14.6, so we're a little lower. But let's see here. Got the fans rocking and rolling. Alright, I got it on medium, okay? Got it on medium. Got the green button pushed in, by the way, which does enable this variable. Okay? When the green button is pushed out, this variable is not enabled and the amp is in high drive at that point. So here's what it's doing with the medium, with the button pressed in, which is on medium. And by the way, this delay switch doesn't do anything with the RF, it's just to enable a delay. 500 watt slug. This is PEP. Where's the light at on the camera? I can't see it. Oh, I'm showing the wrong one. There it is. Alright, 500 watt slug. We're looking at the middle scale. Oh, about 400 watts. RMS. Oh, a little bit over 100 bird. Alright, we'll go ahead and depress that. This is now in high drive. This is where you want to run this if you're not going to be running when you got it on medium, that's where you want to run it if you're running a radio like I'm running right now. You can turn it down, use this box as a driver for something else. But if you're going to use this as a high drive box and drive a strong radio in it or a driver, which I'm not a big fan of with these new Texas Stars, but you need to run it on medium so that this variable is bypassed. Alright, this is on high, 500 watt slug. Go in the corner, 500 watts. 1000 watts, RMS. Go right there, almost 200 bird, right there in line. Input reflect. Do. That's a 5 watt slug, y'all. The 10 is 1 watt. In between that's a half. Hello. See, so that's just tiny, under 1/4 of a watt input reflect, which is great. Fan, put it on low. Sorry about that noise. It's these things right here rocking back and forth. I need to get this table mounted to the wall or something so to quit dang rocking back and forth there. These are beautiful amps, man. I really love these fan kits. Alright, that's second down, 1 to go. Man, whoever gets this amp, man, you're gonna have you a nice amp. I wish I could one of these days I'm gonna do me one, y'all. That's just wrong, ain't it? I do these right here, man, all the time, and I haven't made time to do myself one. But that's how it is. The shoe repair man never repairs his own shoes because he don't have time. Oh, GK, I'll be back. Let's get the top on this one. Alright, Mr. Ben at BRB Electronics. Here's your last one. I wish I had about 10 more to show you, big brother. Here's your last one right here. Everything's same as the other. Your output trace thickened up right there. Got all the 14 gauge Teflon wire feeding the output transformers. This is the thickest 8 gauge I've ever. You know what? I just saw something. I need to fix that. We don't want that rolling around. We don't want that rolling around. Give me 1 second. I forgot about that one. Alright, got that fixed. I knew there was one that I had forgot to strap up, so that won't be moving now. Alright, man, so got the power wire upgrade done. Got the Gatekeeper product logo there. I'm gonna get me some decals printed out that says Gatekeeper Modified. I think that'd be more appropriate. Gatekeeper Modified, since this is Gatekeeper Modified. Got your 1000 microfarad electrolytic. Instead of putting these right here, which there's nothing wrong with these right here. They're filtering the same as these, but I just put the ones they use in the older boxes, which I like. I put them back in. This is a filtering component for your DC. This is going to take care of the more high frequency. This is going to take care of more of the lower ripple. If there's any kind of what I like to call dirty voltage on the line. There's your switch back there, of course. Or you can just stick your finger back here and change it, and it's out of sight. Especially when I'm shipping, the switch can't get broken. There's your SB175. See, that's another thing why I like doing this, using these Andersons, and I love to sell these with the Andersons on here, and I'll tell you why. If these wires, if this red wire ever got split apart, you'd have a problem. One of the boards wouldn't be getting power. Now, the black wire, there is a Teflon jumper that goes from board to board, as you can see. Okay, now if the black wire ever came undone, it would be getting the power. That Teflon jumper would just get red hot, but it wouldn't melt since it's Teflon. And but the red wire, you'd have a problem. You know, of course, I could sit here and solder a wire from here over to here, but there's really no need to do that because of this. These are bonded together. These two wires are bonded together. Now, this takes time for me to do. You know, it takes a lot of extra time. I twist them together with a pair of pliers. I make sure they are twisted together very tight, and I sit there and take time to tin up each one before I put them in the Anderson connector. So I tin each one of them up, completely tin them up to make them one solid bonded connection. Both wires are then a solid bonded connection. And of course, while I'm putting that heat on there, the insulation of this may tear a little bit, or you know, it may crack a little bit due to the heat. And that's also what this heat shrink is. On a lot of them, I'll double up, put a thin layer of heat shrink on it first, then put this layer on it afterwards, and then I'll put them in the finger and make sure they're pushed all the way down. Make sure I've got that solder pushed, soldered all the way up to the very top to make one pure bonded connection. So that would never happen. There's a slim chance that something like that would happen. You'd have to cut the wire or try to take the fingers off and cut them and connect them yourself, and something would come loose. But that's why I like to sell them with Andersons if I can. And if somebody doesn't want them, I just make sure to let them know to make sure that those stay bonded together. I think I seen a video where BBI had actually ran a wire from this hot bus to that hot bus on a particular amplifier. I can't remember if that one had Andersons on it or not, but that was a good idea. It's a safety mechanism. If I didn't have all this bonded like this right here with Andersons and everything, I probably would do that to have that extra safety feature there. But with this right here, you're not going to have to worry about it. All right. Yes, y'all, I do like to watch BBI's videos. He has a lot of interesting work he has done. I don't care what anybody says about me. This is a hobby of mine. I absolutely love this hobby. I mean, I have a passion for it. And I love to watch other people when I can, see what angles they're coming from, and BBI definitely has done a lot of interesting videos that I have definitely loved to view. Some real interesting stuff, no doubt about it. I'm a man that loves to give credit where credit's due. I don't play that political stuff, y'all. The GK said that. Alright, let's turn it on. You hear the fans come on. Let's stick down here and put it on low while we're keying. Alright, this one right here, I had to do some work on the variable. I guess during shipment the variable had kind of closed together and this knob was wobbling, and plus it was coming off. So I went out there and spread them apart and put it back on there. So that is fine now. These are just little bitty things you want to check out for. Alright, green button's pressed in, 500 watt slug and peak. Now this one right here is getting close to 450 just with the green button pressed in. 1000 watt slug RMS, a little bit over 100 bird, which is where they're always at that time. If we go ahead and depress that, put it in high mode, high drive mode, no attenuation at all holding it back. 500 watts. Right there about 200, about 180, 200 RMS. And of course at this point, I could go ahead and go up here and hook up my Stickman Modified Cobra 29, hit it with 8 watts RMS. You'll probably jump up to about 750 peak, up to about 300 plus bird. And then if I hook up my big derail monster right here, should be doing over 400 bird. But these are brand new amplifiers, okay? This is something I've had, I'm trying to get better about. These are brand new amplifiers with HGs in here. If you overdrive HGs or drive them harder than you need to drive them, their HF value will drop. I'm not going to sit here and hide this like I think some people are not wanting to come out and talk about it. Hey, I'm the guy that helped HG get here to the United States like they are with these transistors. I'm not going to sit here and act like I did something big, huge. All I did was contact them, pretty much teach them how our culture is with this hobby, and just work with them, give them information whenever they needed it. They sent me transistors to test, back and forth about 4 or 5 times, and then I finally picked the transistor that we're using today, the 08-4s, which are the HGs that we're all using today. It was between the 08-4s or the 04-4s. 04-4s didn't do the exact amount of output. They did a little bit less output, but they had some other characteristics that were cool. But the 08-4s did the most output with the less drive, and that's the ones that I told him that, you know, worked the best for me, and then he decided from there, and that's what we're using now. And supposedly there's been no change to that transistor, but just changing the top and the way they value them. So I've worked with these enough to know if you drive these things too hard or overdrive them, the HFE value will drop dramatically, a lot more faster than Toshiba's. So that's another reason why, this being a brand new amplifier, I don't want to sit here and drive it hard. You know, I want this amplifier to arrive at the customer's place the same way it left Texas Star. And I promise you, Texas Star drove this amplifier the same as I'm driving it now, with 4 watts RMS. Okay? They drove it with 4 watts RMS, make sure they were getting the numbers they're supposed to be getting out of it, and they let it go out the door. And that's what I'm doing, and I don't want to drive any more in it. I want to keep it in its new status, so the transistors are in their HFE status that they were when they arrived brand new to my customer's house, to my buddy's house, Mr. Ben. So that's why, you know, if anybody's asking why ain't he showing it doing a kilowatt, I'll do that with repairs and stuff, because those are transistors that's already been broke in. Those are a different situation. You know, those are a different situation. I'm thinking about even, you know, doing that a little bit less when it comes to HGs and stuff, because HGs are awesome. They do great output. They do the same output as Toshiba's. They're freaking awesome, but they are not as rugged as Toshiba's. You cannot abuse them. If you abuse them, you will have a failure at some point in time quicker than you would a Toshiba. I'm just telling you the way it is. So, but if you don't abuse them and you run them correctly and don't overdrive them, your chances of good long enjoyment increases by 1,000%. Alright, let me get the top on here, man. I'll come back and let you take a look at all of them together, and I will flip all the switches to high when I ship them out to you, just so they can be flipped over to high mode. Alright, buddy, thank you, man. Hey, let's get these things rocking now, dude. I got this table right over here set up for it. We're gonna keep these wires like this in stock so we can just get in here, these chokes, so we can get in here and get them done, get them back out to you, man. Appreciate you, brother. Anybody wanting these particular modded Texas Stars, brand new? These are brand new. Here's the boxes right here they came to me from. Right here's the boxes they came to me from. Brand new. Straight from Texas Star. If y'all want these, you'll have to contact my buddy Ben. I'll have the information in the description. As of right now, I'm not directly selling these for him. He's taking care of that. This is his deal. I'm just a guy modifying it for him. And to me, I'm making the factory Texas Star a little bit better. And that's the name of the game. 73's old gatekeeper. I'm gone now. God bless. Bye-bye. Alright, there's all 3 of them. My goal is to be able to show a finished shot of maybe 10 of them one day. What you think? Well, there you go, man. There's the Anderson connectors. Go ahead and get these bad boys packaged up for you and get them out your direction. Mr. BRB Electronics. And old Boots. Coming up in here to hang out and chill in what I call the plastic box. So I can keep all this heat in here, and in the winter time I can keep all the the cold end. Hey, this ain't definitely ain't the best of the best, but hey, it's something I can work with till I can somehow get near, even close, somewhere near the best of the best. Old gatekeeper, just a country boy out here around the northeast end of Georgia, doing my thing on this cat picking end. We'll see you 73s, and God bless. Bye bye.